You know the moment I'm talking about. That quiet shift in the doctor's tone. The way they look down at the chart. Their voice softens, their eyes avoid yours. And then, that word. Cancer. It doesn't matter if you're 35 or 75. It hits the same way. Like the floor under you just cracked open. For years, maybe even decades, cancer was something that happened to other people. Something on the news. A fundraiser. A ribbon on someone's shirt. But once you cross a certain age, say 60, 65, it stops being a distant story. It becomes personal. Maybe it was your best friend, your brother, your spouse. Maybe it was you. And when that word enters your world, everything changes. You start to question every little ache, every shadow on a scan. The body you've trusted for a lifetime suddenly feels fragile, like something you need to protect fiercely and quickly. Now, as a doctor who's spent over 20 years sitting across from patients just like you, let me tell you this. You are not powerless. You are not too old. You are not too. And because even now, perhaps especially now, your body is listening. It still responds. It still heals. It still fights for you. But here's the part most people miss. To do that, it needs the right tools. And I'm not talking about more pills. I'm not talking about invasive treatments or expensive supplements with labels you can't pronounce. I'm talking about food. Real food. Whole food. Nature's food. Seeds. Yes, tiny humble seeds. Seeds your grandparents used without even realizing how powerful they were. Seeds that have been studied in scientific labs for their ability to reduce inflammation, protect DNA, slow abnormal cell growth, and support the body's own defense system. Seeds that are easy to find, easy to eat, and most importantly, easy to start with. Today, in this video, I want to take you by the hand and walk with you through 6 extraordinary seeds. Seeds that science now confirms can help lower your cancer risk and strengthen your body's natural immunity, especially after 60. And if you stay with me to the end, I'll show you exactly how to eat them so your body actually absorbs their nutrients. Because that matters too. So let's put the fear aside. Let's focus on strength. Let's open your pantry, not your medicine cabinet, and uncover what's already waiting there to help you. Are you ready? Let's begin. Let's begin with a seed that many people think of as a luxury, but in reality, may be one of the most powerful daily defenders your body could ask for. Macadamia. Now, I know what you're thinking. A nut? Really? Yes, really. And not just for your heart or your waistline, but for something much deeper, your cells. The very foundation of your body. And more specifically, the delicate code inside them, your DNA. You see, after the age of 60, our bodies naturally become more vulnerable to inflammation. And inflammation, in its chronic form, is one of the key drivers of cellular damage. Over time, it chips away at the integrity of your cells, hurts the DNA, makes repair more difficult, and in some cases, sets the stage for abnormal cell growth, what we call cancer. But here's where macadamia shines. Over 75% of the fat in macadamia is monounsaturated fat, the very same heart-protective fat found in olive oil and avocados. These fats don't just lower bad cholesterol. They also calm internal inflammation, nourish your cell membranes, and help your tissues heal faster when injured. And then there's manganese. Just a small handful, around 10 to 12 nuts, contains 1.5 milligrams of this essential mineral. It may sound like a small number, but its effect on your body is enormous. Manganese is like a spark plug for your internal repair system. It activates key enzymes that help rebuild DNA, repair cell structures, and clean up the cellular rust caused by aging and stress. Think of it like your body's internal mechanic, constantly scanning for damage and quietly making the repairs that keep you healthy. In fact, manganese plays such a vital role in maintaining healthy DNA that researchers now consider it one of the key nutrients in cancer prevention, especially as we age. But there's more. Macadamia nuts are also rich in phytosterols, plant-based compounds that mimic cholesterol in the digestive tract. But instead of harming you, these compounds block the absorption of harmful cholesterol and may interfere with the growth of certain cancer cells. One study published in the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry found that diets high in phytosterols were linked to a measurable reduction in tumor growth in lab models, particularly in breast and prostate tissue. Now, let me be clear. I'm not telling you macadamia will cure cancer. No food works like a magic bullet. But food doesn't have to be magic. It just has to be consistent, supportive, and intelligent. That's where macadamia fits in. Let's talk about how to use it. You don't need to bake complicated dishes or become a gourmet chef. Macadamias are perfect in their natural state. Toss a few onto your morning oatmeal. Blend some into a smoothie. Sprinkle them over a salad. Or just enjoy a small handful as a mid-afternoon snack. Because they're naturally filling, they can help you avoid sugary snacks and curb cravings without spiking your blood sugar. That's a big win for your metabolism and your energy levels, especially later in life. And unlike many processed foods, macadamia doesn't just fill your stomach. It feeds your cells. Every bite delivers the fats, minerals, and antioxidants your body needs to stay balanced, steady, and resilient. There's something else, too. When you eat macadamia, you're not just doing something good for your body. You're also taking control. You're saying, I choose nourishment. You're saying, I support my own health. And in a world that often makes us feel helpless, especially when it comes to illness, that choice carries real power. So the next time you see macadamia in the store and think it's just a snack for the wealthy, I want you to remember this. It's not a luxury. It's a shield. And at this stage of life, your body deserves all the protection it can get. Up next, we're going to revisit a surprising seed that many of us remember from childhood, but few of us realized held powerful cancer-fighting secrets. Yes, I'm talking about red watermelon seeds, and you're going to see them in a whole new light. Shall we continue? Let me take you back for a moment. Close your eyes and remember those summer days. The backyard gatherings, the laughter of cousins, the watermelon slices dripping down your hands. And somewhere in the center of it all, a bowl of roasted red watermelon seeds passed around like a quiet tradition. It wasn't fancy. It wasn't planned. But it meant something. What most of us didn't know back then, what science has only begun to truly understand, is that those tiny red seeds were far more than just snacks. They were little vessels of natural medicine, a gift passed down from culture to culture, family to family, with healing power hidden inside. Let me explain. The secret lies in a vibrant antioxidant called lycopene. Now, lycopene is a carotenoid. That's a natural pigment that gives certain fruits and vegetables their rich red color. Tomatoes, pink grapefruit, red peppers, all of them contain lycopene. But watermelon seeds? They contain up to 3 times more lycopene than tomatoes, gram for gram. That's right. A handful of red watermelon seeds delivers a concentrated dose of one of the most powerful antioxidants known to science. But what does lycopene actually do? In plain terms, it acts like a shield inside your body. It protects your cells from oxidative stress, the kind of internal wear and tear that damages DNA, promotes inflammation, and sets the stage for cancer to develop. Lycopene has been studied extensively for its role in preventing prostate, breast, and lung cancer, especially in older adults. A 2020 review published in the journal Antioxidants found that individuals with higher lycopene intake had significantly lower rates of abnormal cell growth, particularly in hormone-sensitive tissues. Think of lycopene as a firefighter, rushing in to put out the sparks before they become wildfires. But lycopene isn't the only gift inside these humble seeds. Red watermelon seeds are also rich in linoleic acid, an essential omega-6 fatty acid. When consumed in proper balance, linoleic acid plays a key role in regulating inflammation and supporting your immune system, something that becomes especially important after the age of 60. Why? Because as we age, our immune response slows down. Our natural defenses become a little less sharp, and chronic inflammation, often silent, starts to creep in. That combination creates an internal environment where abnormal cells can grow more easily. That's why foods like red watermelon seeds matter so much. They don't just fill you up. They actively protect your immune resilience. And there's more. These seeds also deliver a powerful trio of minerals. Magnesium, which helps regulate cell repair and energy production. Zinc, which strengthens your immune cells and supports wound healing. Vitamin E, which protects cell membranes and supports brain and skin health. Together, these nutrients form a multi-layered defense system, supporting everything from cellular integrity to mood stability. So, how do you actually eat them? Simple. Start with 15 to 20 grams a day, about 1 small handful. Soak them in water for a couple of hours to soften the shell. Then gently toast them in a dry pan over low heat. just until they become aromatic. You can eat them whole, grind them into a powder, and mix them into smoothies or oatmeal, or blend them into a plant-based milk that's easy on the stomach and rich in nutrients. And here's something beautiful to remember. Every time you enjoy red watermelon seeds, you're not just feeding your body. You're reconnecting with something deeper, those warm memories of family, togetherness, and simple joys. You're honoring a tradition that perhaps your grandparents followed instinctively, and now you're doing it with purpose. You're giving your cells what they need. You're giving your past a role in protecting your future. Food like this, simple, grounded in memory, backed by science, isn't just nourishment. It's healing. Now, as we move forward, let me introduce you to another seed. One that doesn't carry bold colors or family stories. In fact, it's often overlooked, sitting quietly on the store shelf, ignored by most shoppers. But don't let its modesty fool you. It's one of the strongest silent protectors your body can use, especially as you age. Let's talk about millet. Let's talk about a grain that doesn't shout for attention. It isn't trendy. It isn't brightly colored. It doesn't get featured in fancy restaurant menus or fitness magazines. But for those of us looking to age with strength, clarity, and protection, millet might just be one of the most powerful foods hiding in plain sight. Now, if you've walked past it in the store before, I don't blame you. Millet usually sits on the bottom shelf, pale, unassuming, tucked beside the brown rice and quinoa. It doesn't exactly call out to you, but that's exactly what makes it special. Because while it may not look impressive on the outside, what's inside millet is extraordinary, especially when it comes to fighting inflammation and reducing cancer risk. Let's begin with one word: polyphenol. Polyphenol are naturally occurring compounds found in plants. They're best known for their antioxidant properties, which means they protect your cells from the constant wear and tear caused by unstable molecules known as free radicals. Now, why does that matter? Because as you age, your cells are under more stress. From pollution, from poor diet, from chronic inflammation, from simply being alive for decades. Free radicals accumulate over time, damaging your DNA, impairing your cell membranes, and increasing the likelihood that some cells might begin to divide abnormally. And that, in essence, is how many cancers begin, quietly, invisibly, over years. But millet helps interrupt that cycle. In just 100 grams, millet contains up to 120 milligrams of polyphenol, a significantly higher amount than white rice or many processed grains, which have had their protective layers stripped away during refinement. And it doesn't stop there. Studies, like one published in Nutrition Research and Practice, suggest that the polyphenolic compounds found in millet may help reduce the risk of both colon cancer and breast cancer, two of the most common cancers in adults over 60. Why these two? Because both are heavily influenced by chronic inflammation, dietary habits, and the overall state of the gut and hormone balance. And millet, with its gentle fiber and anti-inflammatory compounds, helps regulate those very systems. But millet's benefits go beyond polyphenol. It's also an excellent natural source of magnesium, a mineral that many seniors are quietly deficient in. Magnesium plays a vital role in hundreds of cellular processes. It relaxes blood vessels, improving circulation. It regulates blood pressure, protecting your heart. It supports muscle and nerve function, keeping you steady on your feet. And yes, it helps your immune system respond more effectively to threats, including abnormal cell growth. And here's something I always emphasize with my patients. Real protection doesn't always come from dramatic interventions. Sometimes, it comes from a bowl of something simple. Something like millet. You don't need a complicated recipe to benefit. Cook it like you would rice, 1 part millet to 2.5 parts water or broth. Let it simmer until soft and fluffy. Stir it into soups or stews for extra body. Use it as the base for a grain bowl with roasted vegetables. Or, my favorite, mix it with warm milk, cinnamon, and a bit of honey for a nourishing morning porridge. Just a couple of tablespoons a day can quietly begin supporting your body's defenses. Because here's the truth, your cells don't care if something is glamorous. They care if it works. And millet works. It works in silence, in simplicity, in slow, steady nourishment that builds strength from the inside out. So the next time you find yourself at the store and your eyes drift over the polished packaging of superfoods and powders, remember this. The quietest thing on the shelf might be the strongest gift you can give your body today. And we're not done yet. Next, I want to talk about a seed you've probably seen, used, maybe even sprinkled onto a dish without giving it much thought. It's one of the most ancient ingredients in the world. And yet, modern science is just beginning to unlock how powerful it really is. Let's talk about sesame, the tiny warrior in your kitchen drawer. Think about the last time you sprinkled something onto a stir-fry, a salad, or maybe a piece of grilled fish. It was small, nutty, crunchy, almost invisible. Sesame seeds. They don't ask for your attention. They don't take up much space. But behind that delicate size and familiar flavor lies a remarkable truth. Sesame seeds are one of the most powerful natural cancer fighters you probably already have in your kitchen, and yet, most people have no idea. Let's start with two compounds that are unique to sesame: sesamin and sesamol. These aren't just fancy names. They're plant-based antioxidants that have been studied extensively in medical research. In fact, a 2017 study published in the Journal of Medicinal Food found that extracts from sesame seeds could slow the growth of cancer cells, particularly in breast and colorectal cancer models. How? By interfering with the signaling pathways that allow abnormal cells to multiply unchecked. Essentially, they interrupt the instructions that tell cancer cells to grow. And if you're over 60, this is especially important. As your body ages, the natural systems that once eliminated faulty cells become less efficient. Sesame helps strengthen those internal defenses before abnormal growth takes hold. But the benefits don't end with cancer protection. Let's talk about something equally important: bone health. As we get older, especially post-menopause for women, calcium loss becomes a serious concern. Bones become more brittle. The risk of fractures increases. And falls, which were once minor, can now be life-altering. Most people think of dairy as the best source of calcium. But here's something surprising. Just 100 grams of whole sesame seeds contain nearly 975 milligrams of calcium. That's more than a full glass of milk. And because sesame also contains magnesium, about 351 milligrams per 100 grams, your body can actually use that calcium more effectively. Magnesium is like the gatekeeper that ensures calcium gets delivered to the bones, rather than building up in the arteries. It doesn't stop there. Magnesium also keeps your blood pressure stable, helps relax your muscles, supports your nerve function, and strengthens your immune response. When these systems work in harmony, your body becomes better equipped to handle not just daily wear and tear, but also to resist disease at the cellular level. And here's the best part. You don't need to eat a bowl of sesame seeds to benefit. Just 1 or 2 tablespoons a day, about 10 to 20 grams, is enough to provide a meaningful protective effect. Let's talk about how to use them. Sprinkle sesame seeds over your oatmeal or yogurt. Add them to smoothies for a subtle nutty flavor. Mix them into soups, roasted vegetables, or whole grain dishes. Or, my favorite, make a simple tahini dressing and drizzle it over a salad or steamed greens. It's easy, it's versatile, and it becomes a quiet ritual of self-care, adding a layer of protection to every bite you take. There's something deeply symbolic about sesame, too. In many ancient cultures, sesame seeds were considered sacred, a symbol of life, fertility, resilience. And now, modern science is showing us why that belief might not have been so far-fetched. These tiny seeds carry within them the wisdom of the earth, concentrated in a form your body still knows how to use. They don't promise miracles, but they offer something more honest, more lasting: support, stability, strength. And isn't that what we're really looking for as we age? Not perfection, not immortality, but steadiness, a feeling that we're still protecting what matters inside. So, the next time you reach into your spice drawer and see that little jar of sesame seeds, remember, there's a warrior in there, a quiet one, but powerful just the same. Now, speaking of powerful, but comforting, I want to take you into the next chapter of this journey. A food that brings both ancient healing and emotional grounding. A food rich in nutrients and rich in memories. Let's talk about almonds, the emotional, steady protector of your health. There's something about almonds that feels familiar. Maybe it's the sound of them crunching between your teeth. Maybe it's the memory of warm milk with almonds before bed. Or those little jars filled with roasted nuts passed around during holidays. Whatever the reason, almonds seem to carry comfort, not just in the body, but in the heart. But what if I told you that the very nut we associate with comfort is also one of the most scientifically validated cancer-fighting foods you can eat? Let me show you why. Let's begin with vitamin A. Almonds are one of the richest natural sources of this powerful, fat-soluble antioxidant. Just 100 grams of almonds give you about 25 milligrams of vitamin E. But this isn't just another number. It's a shield, especially important after the age of 60. Vitamin E travels through your body's fat-based tissues. Think of it as a firefighter, constantly looking for sparks, unstable molecules called free radicals, and putting them out before they can damage your DNA or trigger abnormal cell division. In other words, it helps your cells stay stable, functional, and calm, even under stress. This antioxidant action is crucial, because over time, free radicals accumulate in your body from pollution, processed food, chronic stress, and even natural aging. And if they're left unchecked, they begin to interfere with how your cells function. That's when the risk of cancer increases. But almonds don't stop with vitamin E. They're also packed with polyphenol and flavonoids, plant-based compounds that act like internal security guards, scanning for trouble and disarming dangerous pathways before they grow out of control. One study published in the International Journal of Cancer showed that regular nut consumption, especially almonds, was associated with lower risks of colon, breast, and prostate cancer. Why? Because these compounds don't just protect cells. They actually slow the reproduction of abnormal ones. They interrupt the chain reaction of uncontrolled growth before it ever begins. And if you've ever faced cancer personally or through someone you love, you know how critical that early line of defense truly is. But almonds go deeper than cell protection. They also help restore emotional balance. And that matters, too. Let me explain. Almonds are rich in magnesium, about 270 milligrams per 100 grams. Magnesium isn't just for muscles. It plays a powerful role in calming your nervous system. It helps regulate mood, reduce anxiety, and support restorative sleep. And for seniors especially, chronic stress and poor sleep can quietly weaken the immune system, raise inflammation levels, and make the body more vulnerable to disease. So yes, eating almonds is a physical act, but it's also an emotional one. It's choosing peace over panic, grounding over chaos, nourishment over numbness. Now let me give you a tip, because this part matters. Soak your almonds. That's right. Let them sit in clean water for 6 to 8 hours before eating. Why? Because soaking removes something called phytic acid, a natural compound that can block mineral absorption, especially calcium, iron, and zinc. It also softens the almonds, making them easier to digest, especially if your digestion has slowed with age. Once soaked, you can eat them plain, blend them into smoothies, or crush them into oatmeal or yogurt. Just 20 to 30 grams a day, about a small handful, is all you need to receive the full benefit. And every time you reach for those almonds, I want you to remember this. You're not just reaching for a snack. You're reaching for support, for protection, for a sense of stability in a world that often feels unpredictable. Because that's what almonds offer. Yes, they protect your cells. Yes, they lower cancer risk. But they also remind you that nourishment can be simple and deeply comforting. And now, let's move to the final seed in our story. One that often ends up in the trash. One that many people discard without realizing they're throwing away one of nature's most powerful cancer-fighting gifts. Let's talk about pumpkin seeds and why they might just be your body's unsung hero. Let's be honest. How many times have you scooped out pumpkin seeds during the fall, rinsed them off, and then tossed them in the trash? Don't feel bad. You're not alone. But what if I told you that those tiny seeds, those so-called leftovers, were one of the most powerful cancer-fighting, immune-supporting foods nature ever created? Let me show you why pumpkin seeds deserve a second look. We'll start with one of the most essential minerals for your immune system, zinc. Zinc is like a cellular repairman. It rebuilds damaged tissue, supports healthy growth, and keeps your body's internal defense system running smoothly. It also plays a critical role in DNA repair, something especially important for seniors, whose cells are more vulnerable to damage from oxidative stress. Now, here's the good news. Just 100 grams of pumpkin seeds can give you about 7 milligrams of zinc. That's more than many supplements, in a form your body can actually recognize and absorb. And for men over 50, zinc becomes even more essential. Why? Because it's directly tied to prostate health. Zinc helps regulate cell growth in the prostate and may help reduce the risk of prostate enlargement and cancer. Several studies, including one published in Nutrition and Cancer, have shown that zinc-rich diets are associated with lower incidence of prostate disorders in aging men. But zinc is only the beginning. Pumpkin seeds also contain a protective trio of nutrients. Magnesium, which regulates cell metabolism and reduces inflammation. Manganese, which activates your body's internal antioxidant systems. Vitamin E, which, as we discussed earlier, protects your DNA and cell membranes from oxidative damage. Together, these nutrients form a multi-layered shield, supporting your immune system, calming inflammation, and defending against cellular changes that may lead to cancer. But what really sets pumpkin seeds apart is a compound called phytosterols. These are plant-based compounds that mimic cholesterol in your digestive system. But unlike cholesterol, they don't clog your arteries. In fact, they do the opposite. Phytosterols actually block the absorption of harmful cholesterol and have been shown to interfere with the growth of cancer cells. In one study published in Nutrition and Cancer, researchers found that diets high in phytosterols were associated with significantly lower rates of breast and colon cancer, especially in older adults. So what we have here isn't just a snack. It's a biological tool. A small, crunchy defender that quietly strengthens your cells and slows disease in its tracks. Now, how do you use pumpkin seeds the right way? First, the right amount. Just 30 grams a day, roughly 2 tablespoons, is enough to get all these benefits. You can sprinkle them over salads or grain bowls. Blend them into smoothies for a creamy, nutty texture. Mix them into oatmeal or yogurt. Or simply eat them as a light afternoon snack. But here's something important. Be careful with heat. Roasting pumpkin seeds at high temperatures, especially above 300 degrees Fahrenheit 150 degrees Celsius, can destroy sensitive nutrients like vitamin E and omega fats. Instead, lightly toast them on low heat, or eat them raw if your digestion allows. And if you want to make them even more digestible and unlock more nutrients, try soaking them for a few hours, or grinding them in a small food processor before eating. This breaks down their tough outer shell and makes their minerals more bioavailable. Want a fun way to enjoy them? Here's a quick recipe I often share with patients. Mix a handful of ground pumpkin seeds with a spoonful of natural peanut butter. Add a drizzle of honey and a sprinkle of rolled oats. Shape into small snack bars or balls. Refrigerate for 30 minutes. You've now got a nutrient-dense, anti-cancer snack that's easy to make, easy to digest, and easy to enjoy. The best part? Every bite is a reminder that healing doesn't always require something expensive, complicated, or clinical. Sometimes, it starts with a seed you nearly threw away. So as we bring this journey to a close, I want to ask you one simple question. What if healing isn't about doing more? What if it's about doing one small thing more consistently? And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, not another seed, but something just as essential: how to make sure your body actually absorbs all these nutrients you've just learned about. Because eating well is one thing. Absorbing well is everything. Let's talk about that next. By now, you've learned something powerful. Nature has placed quiet protectors in our hands, seeds that support our immune system, reduce inflammation, and help defend us from one of the greatest threats we face as we age: cancer. But here's the part many people miss. Eating the right foods isn't enough if your body can't absorb what they offer. And this becomes even more important after 60. Why? Because as we age, digestion slows down. The lining of our gut becomes less efficient. Enzymes become less active. The body's ability to pull nutrients from food isn't what it used to be. So the question is, how do we fix that? Not with more pills, not with fancy equipment, but with a few simple changes in how you prepare and combine your foods. Let me walk you through it. 1. Lower the heat, preserve the power. One of the most common mistakes I see is over-roasting. We love that crunch. But high heat, anything above 300 degrees Fahrenheit or 150 degrees Celsius, destroys sensitive nutrients, especially vitamin E and omega fatty acids, which are critical for cancer protection. Instead, lightly toast seeds at low heat, around 150 to 160 degrees Celsius or 300 to 320 degrees Fahrenheit, for no more than 8 to 10 minutes. This brings out flavor while preserving the delicate compounds your cells actually need. 2. Pair seeds with vitamin C. This is a game changer. Minerals like iron, zinc, and magnesium, which you've just learned are abundant in seeds like pumpkin, sesame, and almonds, are much more effectively absorbed when paired with vitamin C. Here's how. Add a squeeze of lemon or lime to your salad with pumpkin or sesame seeds. Blend your smoothie with kiwi, pineapple, or oranges when using ground nuts or seeds. Sprinkle fresh tomatoes or bell peppers onto a grain bowl with millet or almonds. That small combination makes a huge difference in how your body absorbs key nutrients. 3. Soak, grind, or blend your seeds. Seeds are naturally protected. That tough outer shell evolved to survive digestion in the wild. But your body isn't a bird's digestive tract. You need help getting to the good stuff inside. Soak your seeds. Just a few hours in water breaks down that outer shell and reduces compounds like phytic acid, which can block mineral absorption. Or better yet, grind them. A small food processor or spice grinder can turn sesame, pumpkin, or flax seeds into a fine meal that's easier to digest, more versatile, and far more absorbable. You can add that meal to oatmeal, smoothies, yogurt, homemade bars, or energy balls. It's a simple step that unlocks the full value of what you're eating. 4. Combine seeds for synergy. Here's something many people don't know. When you combine seeds together, like almonds with pumpkin or sesame with watermelon, you get nutrient synergy. Each seed brings its own unique strengths. One may be rich in antioxidants, another in healthy fats, another in immune-boosting minerals. When eaten together, they support different aspects of your cellular health, creating a more complete defense system inside your body. Try this. Make a daily seed mix with ground almonds, pumpkin seeds, and sesame. Store in a jar and sprinkle over your meals. Or mix with nut butter and oats for a powerful on-the-go snack. A small spoonful each day can nourish your cells in ways that isolated foods, or even supplements, simply can't. 5. Consistency is more important than perfection. This might be the most important message I can give you. You don't need to eat all 6 seeds every day. You don't need to follow a perfect routine. Life is busy. Things happen. What matters is that you keep coming back to these foods, day after day, in small, steady amounts. The benefits don't come from one heroic meal. They come from 100 quiet choices over time. You're not aiming for a miracle. You're building a foundation. Closing thoughts. The power is already in your hands. If you've made it this far, you've done something truly meaningful for your health. You've looked beyond fear. You've taken a quiet, determined step toward healing, not just by avoiding disease, but by actively nourishing the body that's carried you this far. And let me remind you again, you are not too old. You are not too late. Your body still knows how to heal, how to fight, how to protect itself, but it needs your help. So open your pantry, revisit the seeds you once ignored, and make a commitment, not to be perfect, but to be consistent. One handful, one meal, one simple seed at a time. Because sometimes, the most powerful medicine doesn't come from a bottle. It comes from a bowl.